a video.
I got that on camera. So this is my wet 6 mediums. And you can see I've already written notes. I write notes all over my hives. That's how I can go back and write it in my book or however I'm going to make notes. But it is the end of June, and when you put back wets on a hive, they have to be able to handle the load, not only in just, you know, controlling robbing that could possibly happen because of the smell, but also because of the hive beetle. And that's one of the main concerns in June, July, with the heat, humidity, and populations dwindling. Can they handle the extra frames that they have to patrol? Can they handle what hive beetle may be actually in the frames? Although my hive beetle population's very controlled, and yet it does happen. You can see it, and so that's what I'm doing today. So this is the yard where I'm going to put back my wet, and what I do is I go through and I decide who's got enough population and who can handle either 10 frames, that's what I run 10 frames, or what can they handle. This hive I know has probably close to 20 frames of capped honey, so she's going to be giving me honey. And this here I opened because I'm in the deep south and it's hot, and they're gonna be able to cool their hive more efficiently. I don't use queen excluders. I don't restrict the brood nest, so she could have run up here, but I gave her timely supers and she should be all the way up. Now if I put a whole wet on her, I would definitely have to see if she's got enough of a, well, she's already had a wet and she's not up there. I might take this, right there. The alligators over there, I might take this one off and then put a wet on her. But just from looking at who's up top, no, I wouldn't give her any. But again, if there's no nectar up there that they already put up, that can come off and I can put a wet there. It'd be an efficient hive to do it on. So this is another good, she's another, this is this year's queen. You can see by the field force on top, she's got a lot of girls that can take care of that comb and not let that hive beetle get overwhelming. Again, the stick in there is because of the heat and I want it to vent. I use screen bottoms, but it gets very hot. And you can see my yard. Today is also a mowing day, but that's after we do our work. Ventilation is a big thing in keeping your bees from absconding, from swarming, and from hive beetle overwhelming. Because once you get slimed, it's really hard to back that out, and you can just lose your whole, they'll just take off on you if they start getting slimed and they can't take care of it. So ventilation and population is a huge, huge thing. Okay, so she's gonna get a box and I'm gonna go get that. So here it is, it's wet, you just put it on. Make sure you mark it, make your little notes, whether it's in your book or on your hive. For me, it's on my hive. Now, I'm not putting back their stick. I have rain the next few days, and because the flow is over, they could get robbed of this extra open honey smell. The open honey smell is big. Capped honey is different than open honey, at least to their senses. So, you know, kind of close it up until the rain's done, and then I'll come back out and see how everyone's doing. Okay, moving on. That was this one here in the 3 mediums. I know she could probably use it. She's in 3 mediums, and she's a brand new queen from this year. And yeah, brand new queen, this year's queen, and she's already put up 10 frames of honey. So she's going to get 10 frames, but what I'm going to do is going to remove the medium of honey and stick it down here. And one of the things I have to watch as a foundationless is that I make sure she gets a good portion of it, of the frames that go back are not just drone comb, that they are definitely worker size comb, because I would, in the fall, if she chooses to fill it with honey, I don't want her to move up into a drone box full of drone comb and have nowhere to lay except to go down where there's no stores. So I really manipulate and make sure that my drone comb is off to the sides of the box. I have drone comb here, maybe drone comb here. I don't remove all the drone comb. I do anywhere from 2 frames to 4 frames, and that's all at most I'll do 4 frames. And because in the spring I definitely want her laying drone so that my queen rearing program is fine. If I don't like the queen, I'll come in the spring and make sure that she's not laying in it. See. This is another hive. She's the 20. She's in 3 mediums, and I want to take the top medium off because it is all honey, and I think she'll do a much better job at cleaning the frames. But I wanted to pull one, and I see that she does have brood up here, so she's moving up into her honey, which I think is a great time to go ahead and take it off and put on a wet. She's doing really good. It's all capped, and so that's what I'm going to do, is take off her medium. Going to be super heavy. I got some help here. I'm going to take it, just set it there. So she had a frame of capped up there. She's got some honey down below. I'll pull one and make sure. She's very full up there. Nice, be nice, be nice. And I got thunder rolling overhead, so I don't want to linger too long. It makes them, oh yeah. You see that? That's a frame of complete open brood. Right here is the oldest larva, and as we move out we get larva, larva, and then to eggs. And then she's got another spot down here, and she's doing great. So yeah, I think she can handle it. Again, just because I think she can handle it doesn't mean I won't come back in a day and check on her, because once the frames are not so wet, I can also pull it off and use it in one of my nucs. So here we go. Nope, I'm gonna go get the other, I need another wet. Okay, here's the wet, and all I'm gonna do again. Okay, and once again, just making sure there's worker comb, it's good. Make my note on the side that it's a wet frame. Go ahead and put that on top. Always have your help with you. And now, even if it starts raining, they have, it's putting wet on is almost the equivalent of giving them some feed, because there's enough in there. While we don't see it, it's definitely there. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this is a wet. And here, come over here, this hive in particular is a double queen. It's a nuc, 5 frames on one side, 5 frames on the other, and then stacked. These two is the dividing point, so that queen here and a queen here. And in this box, the wet, what I did was I put in one of my dividers. In particular, this frame is going to go here, but otherwise I would normally just set this on top, and the dividers keep the queens separate. But because this side built honey in the second medium and this side has brood, I'm only taking some frames from the second medium on just the right hand side. Try to get her to lay again in this area, and then they can clean that. A 2 frame, they build super fast in nucs if you haven't already tried it. And you just stack on top of a nuc just like you would a regular hive, and the queens tend to build super fast. So fast in fact that she decided to pack it with honey instead of leaving room. Look at that one. That one's not bad. So now the nuc, and you can see here is the sweep, so that if there was any need for a queen to decide that she wanted to go to the other side, this is going to prevent all that. There's no fighting in between these hives, and no need for queen excluders like that. And then just put her back together. So in this particular hive, what I did was, instead of just letting them build their own comb here and own comb, I did use a queen excluder. So I decided that I wanted to try to see if they would share their foragers and build their comb honey, build their honey as a united front. And that's exactly what they did. So I'm putting that back on until I can take it. Oh my God. It's definitely 50 pounds at this point, but I'm taking it because today is a wet day. Especially now in the season where you can get robbed. I try not to put on wets in the same yard that I'm taking honey. It messes them up. Once they start smelling that, unless you're fast, robbing can start. So you gotta get them out, get them on, and close them up. But if you want to see, here is their collective effort. Their collective effort in honey making. And you can see when I come in what I'll be able to take. Let's pull it up. And that's our nice honey frame. All capped, ready to be taken. And that's their collective effort of 2 queens and 2 field forces, which is rather nice. It stretches out your equipment, but also you better have your equipment ready because they do really go fast. Okay, we'll go find another one. Okay. Both? Okay. So this hive in particular, she's going to get a wet. She's got a feeder box or a feeder shim or whatever you want to call it. And that was another way of keeping that heat off of the top of the honey, because another problem of heat here is that the lack of population coupled with the heat can make your frames of honey drop. You don't want that either. The honey generally is harvestable, but the frame is then a loss, and you kind of want that frame to go back on. They took that time to build it out. She's good. Yeah, I'm putting one on her. I'll be right back. Okay, so this hive, I had to go get my wet. My wets are farther away from the apiary. It's down and below because I don't want the other bees to smell it. But as you can see, it looks like the bees went down. And if you leave a hive cover off, if it's a hot day, they will go down. Sometimes in the spring, they'll come up and you'll see more. So, but I know the population is enough to cover the 10 frames. And it will, you don't want to put them out and let the bees take it. If you let the bees take it in an open feed, they'll tear up your comb a bit, which is not ever nice. But you're feeding, when you open feed, especially the syrup or open frames, you're taking the chance of drawing on all kinds of bees. You don't know whose they are. So if you have a neighbor that has pest problems, varroa in particular, you could be bringing them in. It's a lure to everybody in the neighborhood. You don't want to do that. In some countries, they actually have laws against open feeding. So pollen is a different story, I guess, but no, you don't want to open feed your hives. And one of the reasons they say if you do open feed, make sure it's far away, because that'll start robs in your apiary. So the next one I have is over here. This hive was a swarm, and she was on the wheelchair that I use for moving some hives and stuff, and also honey if it's too far. So she's a swarm, and I don't even think she's a month old. Maybe a month. I have to check notes. So, but if you look inside her, she's definitely ready for a new medium. Just the swarm itself was, geez, she had to have been easy 6 pounds, probably bigger. And she had to be put into 2 mediums. It looks to me like she's already built out honey and capped it, and she's a strong hive, so she's ready also She's definitely got brood here. So this is definitely honey, but she'll definitely utilize this. And again, when I'm putting them on, I make sure that there's worker comb in the middle, drone comb out to the side. And close it up. And she's not getting her stick back for top entrance. Okay, so now, I didn't do anything to her. So now, my next job is to clean up the apiary with my weed eater, loppers, and everything else. And if you like this video, click the subscribe, then hit the bell. Leave a comment for what you'd like to see more of. And as always, happy beekeeping. Gosh, it's hot. Okay, just keep going. Okay, just keep going. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, happy beekeeping.